Hyunwoo Park stood in front of the main screen on the bridge of the New Seoul. His hands were shaking as he stared at the communication panel. The green light that had blinked every day for 3 years was now dark. Earth had stopped talking to them. "Try again," he said to Yoona Kim, who sat at the communication desk. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls, but her face showed worry. "Nothing, Commander," Yoona said softly. "No signal from Earth. No signal from any of the colonies either." Dae-hyun Lee looked up from his workstation. "Sir, I have checked all the equipment. Everything is working fine on our end." Hyunwoo felt cold inside his chest. Every day for 3 years, Earth had sent them news, orders, and messages from home. Every single day. The communication came at the same time, like the sun rising. But now for 3 days there was only silence. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. The New Seoul was far from home, studying rocks and minerals in a star system called Kepler 442. They had found some rare metals that could help build better spaceships. It was important work, but now it felt meaningless. Captain Sang-ho Choi walked onto the bridge. He was an older man with gray hair and scars on his hands from old battles. He had fought in the colonial wars 20 years ago, when humans first spread across the galaxy. His face was serious as he looked at the crew. "Report," Sang-ho said. "No contact from Earth for 72 hours, Hyunwoo replied. "No contact from any human colony." Sang-ho was quiet for a long moment. He had seen many things in his life, but this was different. This felt wrong. Could it be solar storms? Asked Boram Shin, the chief engineer. She had come up from the engine room when she heard about the problem. "No." Yoona shook her head. "I checked all the space weather reports. Nothing that would block communications." Taemin Jung, their science officer, was looking at his data screen. "Commander, I am picking up something strange on the long-range sensors." Everyone turned to look at him. Taemin was young but very smart. He had studied alien life forms at the best schools on Earth. "What kind of strange?" Hyunwoo asked. "Debris fields," Taemin said slowly. "Where the Proxima colony should be, I am seeing metal fragments. Lots of them." The bridge became even quieter. The Proxima colony was home to 50,000 people. It was one of humanity's first settlements outside the solar system. Sang-ho made a decision. "Set course for Earth, maximum speed, sir." "That will take us 3 months," said Jaewon Kang. "Their best pilot." "Then we better start now," Sang-ho replied. As the New Seoul turned toward home, Hyunwoo could not stop thinking about his family. His wife Mi-jin worked as a teacher in Seoul. His daughter Haiwan was only 8 years old. She loved to draw pictures of spaceships and always asked when Daddy would come home. The days passed slowly as they traveled through hyperspace. Yoona kept trying to contact other ships, other colonies, anyone who might answer. Sometimes she picked up strange signals, pieces of messages that made no sense. "Listen to this," Yoona said one morning. She played a recording through the bridge speakers. The voice was full of fear. "They came from nowhere, eating everything. The ships are alive." The message cut off suddenly. "That was from the mining station at Wolf 359, Yoona said. "The signal is 2 weeks old." More messages came in over the following days. All of them were broken, full of static and filled with terror. "The swarm is coming. They consume everything they touch. God help us. They are inside the station." Taemin worked day and night trying to understand what the messages meant. He had studied every known alien species, but nothing in his books matched what people were describing. "Whatever attacked the colonies," Taemin told the senior officers, "it is something new, something we have never seen before." Boram kept the engines running at maximum power. The ship was not built for such long journeys at top speed, but she made it work. Every day she checked and fixed small problems before they became big ones. "How long can we keep this up?" Hyunwoo asked her. "The engines will hold," Boram said with confidence. "I will make sure of it." As they got closer to Earth, more disturbing news reached them. Jaewon picked up a weak signal from a military ship. "This is Admiral Soo Jin-oh of the battlecruiser Incheon," the voice said through heavy static. "All human settlements in Sector 7 have gone dark. We are falling back to Earth. Enemy forces are unlike anything in our databases. They seem to phase in and out of normal space. Weapons have limited effect. Send help if anyone receives this message." The message was 3 days old. Since then, nothing. Hyunwoo looked around at his crew. These people had become his family during their long mission. Yoona with her quiet determination. Dae-hyun with his careful attention to detail. Boram who could fix anything. Taemin, who always wanted to learn more, Jaewon, who could fly through any danger, and Sang-ho, who had kept them all safe for so long. There were 200 people on the new Sol. Scientists, engineers, doctors, and crew members. All of them were far from home when something terrible happened to humanity. "Sir," Yuna called out, "I am getting something new." She put the signal on the main speakers. This time the voice was clearer, but what it said made everyone's blood turn cold. "This is Dr. Yoon Ji-han at the Seoul Research Center. If anyone receives this message, listen carefully. The entities that attacked us are not from our galaxy. They are ancient. They consume entire worlds. We call them the Devourers. Earth's defenses have failed. The orbital stations are gone. Most of the fleet is destroyed. But we have learned something important about them. They have a weakness. We found out how to—" The message cut off suddenly. After that, only silence. Hyunwoo felt his heart beating fast. Dr. Yoon Ji-han was famous throughout human space. She was the smartest person anyone knew when it came to alien life. If she said these creatures were ancient and dangerous, then humanity was in real trouble. "How long until we reach Earth?" he asked Jaewon. 18 days, sir." 18 days felt like forever. But Hyunwoo knew they had to be ready for whatever they would find. He called a meeting of all senior officers. "We need to prepare for the worst," he told them. "If Earth is really under attack, we might be walking into a war zone." "What can we do?" asked Dae-hyun. "We are just one science ship." "We can find survivors," Sang-ho said. "We can learn what happened. And maybe we can find this weakness that Dr. Han mentioned." Taemin nodded. "I will study everything we know about these Devourers. Maybe the old databases have some information." Boram spoke up. "I can modify our weapons systems. Make them stronger." "Good," Hyunwoo said. "Yuna, keep trying to contact anyone who might still be alive. Jaewon, plot emergency escape routes from the solar system, just in case." As the meeting ended, Hyunwoo stayed on the bridge. He looked out at the stars and thought about home. Somewhere ahead of them, Earth was waiting. But would it still be the blue and green world he remembered? Would his family still be alive? The new Sol flew through the darkness, carrying its crew toward an uncertain future. Behind them lay the ruins of human colonies. Ahead of them waited the truth about what had happened to Earth. In the silence of space, only one thing was certain. Humanity's greatest test was about to begin. The new Sol dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. What they saw made everyone on the bridge stop breathing. "Where is the moon?" Dae-hyun whispered. Hyunwoo stared at the screen in shock. Earth hung in space like a thick gray ball, but the moon that should have been beside it was simply gone. Not destroyed, not broken into pieces, just gone. "Sensors show no debris where the moon should be," Taemin reported. His voice was shaking. "It is as if it never existed." Jaewon guided the ship deeper into the solar system. Mars came into view next, and it was even worse. The red planet had huge holes in its surface. The domes where people lived were smashed flat. The orbital elevators that connected the surface to space stations hung broken like spider webs. "Look at the asteroid belt," Yuna said quietly, "where thousands of mining stations once worked. There was only twisted metal floating in space. Some pieces were still recognizable as parts of ships or buildings. Others looked like they had been chewed up and spit out. "Take us closer to Earth," Sang-ho ordered. As they approached their home planet, the damage became clear. The great space stations that once circled Earth were gone. The orbital cities where millions of people lived had been destroyed. Pieces of metal and plastic drifted everywhere like a graveyard in space. "I am detecting some intact structures on the surface," Taemin said, "but life signs are very weak." Boram studied the readings from her engineering station. "The atmosphere is thin. Oxygen levels are low. Something has been poisoning the air." Hyunwoo made a decision that scared everyone. "Prepare a shuttle." "I am going down to the surface, Weiser. That is too dangerous," Sang-ho protested. "We need to know what happened. We need to find survivors. And maybe we can find more of Dr. Han's research." Yuna spoke up. "I am coming with you." "So am I," said Taemin. Boram nodded. "You will need an engineer down there," Sang-ho sighed. "If you are going, then I am going too. Someone needs to keep you all alive." They took the shuttle down through Earth's damaged atmosphere. The sky was the wrong color, a sick yellow instead of blue. The clouds were black and full of chemicals that made their eyes water even inside the protected cabin. Seoul was a wasteland. The beautiful city where Hyunwoo had grown up was now empty ruins. Buildings stood like broken teeth against the poisoned sky. Streets were covered with a strange gray dust that seemed to move by itself. "Look at this," Taman said as they walked through what used to be a park. He knelt down and collected some of the gray dust in a sample container. "This is not natural. This is some kind of organism." They found what they were looking for in an underground bunker beneath Seoul National University. The heavy doors had kept the poisoned air outside. Inside, emergency lights still worked, powered by a small nuclear generator. Dr. Yoonji Han's laboratory was exactly as she had left it. Research papers covered every surface. Computer screens still showed her last calculations. And in the center of the room, a recording device blinked with a red light. Yuna activated the device. Dr. Han's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired and scared, but her voice was clear and strong. "My name is Dr. Yoonji Han. Today is March 15th, 2387. If you are watching this, then Earth has fallen, and I am probably dead. But you must know what we learned about the enemy." The recording showed pictures of creatures that made no sense. They looked like living shadows that could change shape at will. Sometimes they appeared solid. Sometimes they seemed to be made of energy. "We call them the Devourers," Dr. Han continued. "They are ancient, older than human civilization, older than most stars in our galaxy. They come from a place between dimensions. They feed on matter itself, converting everything they touch into more of themselves." The recording showed Earth's final battle. Human ships fought bravely against enemies that could appear and disappear at will. The Devourers' ships were alive, grown instead of built. They moved like hunting animals through space. "They are not evil in the way we understand evil," Dr. Han explained. "They are more like a natural disaster, a cosmic plague that spreads from galaxy to galaxy, consuming everything in their path." Hyunwoo watched in horror as the recording showed the fall of Earth's orbital defenses. The Devourers did not just destroy, they consumed. They took the matter of destroyed ships and grew new ones from it. They turned Earth's own defenses against the planet. "But we found something," Dr. Han said, and hope returned to her voice. "The Devourers have one weakness. They exist partially in our dimension and partially in what we call quantum space. If you can disrupt their connection to quantum space, they become vulnerable." The recording showed complex mathematical equations. Taman tried to understand them, but they were beyond anything he had studied. "The frequency needed to disrupt them is very specific," Dr. Han continued. "It requires enormous amounts of energy, more than any single ship can produce. But if you can generate that frequency..." The recording suddenly cut to static. Then Dr. Han's face appeared again, but now she looked terrified. "They have found our bunker. They are breaking through the doors. I'm uploading all our research to the Deep Space Communication Array. If any human ships receive this, you must warn the colonies. You must find a way to stop them before they spread to other galaxies." The screen went dark. Boram was the first to speak. "How much energy would we need to generate this frequency?" Taman studied Dr. Han's equations on his portable computer. "More than our ship can produce." "Much more. What about multiple ships working together?" Yuna asked. "Maybe," Taman said slowly. "But we would need a lot of ships, and we would need to modify their power systems." Sang-ho looked around the abandoned laboratory. "First, we need to find other survivors. We cannot fight this alone." They collected all of Dr. Han's research and returned to the shuttle. As they flew back toward the new Seoul, Hyunwoo looked down at Earth one last time. This was the world where humanity was born, the world where he had met his wife and watched his daughter take her first steps. Now it was dead. Back on the ship, Yuna immediately started trying to contact other human vessels. For hours, she sent signals into the darkness of space. Finally, a weak voice answered. "This is Admiral Sujin-Oh of the battlecruiser Incheon." "Who is this?" "This is the new Seoul," Yuna replied quickly. "Commander Hyunwoo Park speaking." "What is your status?" "We are alive, but barely." The Admiral's voice crackled through static. "We have 12 ships with us. Maybe 5,000 people total. We are hiding in the Kuiper Belt trying to stay invisible." "We found Dr. Han's research," Hyunwoo said. "We know what we are fighting." There was a long pause. Then Admiral Sujin spoke again. "Can you stop them?" Hyunwoo looked around at his crew. Yuna was already working on communication systems. Boram was studying power generator designs. Taman was deep in Dr. Han's equations. They were just one small ship with 200 people, but they had something the Devourers did not expect. They had hope. "We are going to try," Hyunwoo said into the communicator. "Send us your coordinates. We have a plan." As the new soul prepared to leave Earth's graveyard, Hyunwoo made a promise to himself. The Devourers had taken everything from humanity. They had destroyed worlds and killed billions of people. They thought humans were just another species to consume. They were wrong. Humanity had survived ice ages and wars and plagues. They had spread across the galaxy and built civilizations among the stars. They would not go quietly into the darkness. The war for human survival was about to begin. The new soul was halfway to the Kuiper Belt when the attack came. "Contact," J1 shouted from the pilot's seat. Multiple ships appearing on sensors. But these were not normal ships. On the main screen, Hyunwoo watched in horror as creatures materialized out of empty space. They looked like giant jellyfish made of dark metal and pulsing flesh. Their surfaces rippled and changed as if they were alive. "They just appeared from nowhere," Taemin said, his voice full of fear. "How is that possible?" "They phase between dimensions," Yuna remembered from Dr. Han's research. "They can hide in quantum space and appear anywhere they want." 3 Devourer bioships surrounded the new soul. They were twice as large as the human vessel and moved through space like hunting sharks. Strange lights pulsed along their surfaces in patterns that hurt to look at. "Shields up," Sang-ho ordered. "All weapons ready." Bo-Ram's fingers flew over her controls. "Shields at maximum." "But sir, our weapons were not built for combat." The first Devourer ship attacked without warning. A beam of twisted energy struck the new soul's shields and made the whole ship shake. The lights flickered and several consoles sparked with electricity. "Return fire," Hyunwoo commanded. Their lasers struck the alien ship, but the beam seemed to pass right through it. The Devourer flickered like a bad hologram, existing in their dimension one moment and vanishing the next. "We cannot hit them when they phase out," J1 said, as he tried to dodge another energy beam. "It is like fighting ghosts." The second attack hit their starboard engines. Bo-Ram watched her readings with growing panic. "We are losing power. Engine 3 is offline." Taemin studied his sensors frantically. "Wait, I am seeing a pattern. They become solid for exactly 2.3 seconds when they fire their weapons. That is when we can hit them." J1 smiled grimly. "I can work with that." The young pilot waited until the next Devourer ship charged its weapons. The alien vessel became solid and fired. At that exact moment, J1 rolled the new soul hard to port and fired their main cannon. The energy blast struck the bioship directly. Its living hull screamed, an actual sound that came through space somehow. "Dark fluid leaked from the wound like blood. We heard it," Yuna shouted with excitement. But their victory was short-lived. The wounded Devourer ship began to change. Its damaged sections writhed and twisted. In moments, the wound was healed. Worse, the ship was now larger than before. "They can repair themselves," Taemin said in amazement. "And they use the energy from our attacks to grow stronger." The 3 alien ships began working together in ways that seemed impossible. They moved like parts of a single mind, coordinating their attacks perfectly. Each time the humans tried a new tactic, the Devourers adapted instantly. "They are learning from us," Sang-ho realized. "Every move we make, they study and counter." One of the bioships fired a different kind of weapon. Instead of energy, it launched what looked like living missiles. The creatures were small versions of the main ships, about the size of fighter planes. They flew straight at the new soul with obvious intelligence. "Point defense weapons," Bo-Ram called out. The ship's automatic guns fired at the incoming creatures. Some were destroyed, but others simply absorbed the damage and kept coming. When they hit the hull, they began to eat through the metal with acid that glowed purple. "Hull breach on Deck 7, Dae-hyun reported. "The creatures are inside the ship." Hyunwoo grabbed his sidearm. "Security teams to Deck 7. Do not let them reach the engine room." While the battle raged inside the ship, J1 continued his deadly dance in space. He used the new soul's superior speed to stay ahead of the larger bioships, but there were 3 of them and only 1 of him. "I cannot keep this up much longer," he called out as another energy beam barely missed them. Taemin was working desperately at his science station. Dr. Han's research filled his screen as he tried to find something useful. Then he found it. "Commander, I know how to hurt them." "Tell me." "We need to generate a quantum pulse. It will not destroy them, but it will force them to become solid. They will not be able to phase out for several minutes." Bo-Ram looked at her engineering displays. "That will drain our main power core. We will have no shields and limited weapons." "Do it," Hyunwoo ordered. Bo-Ram rerouted all the ship's power through the deflector array. The new soul shuddered as massive amounts of energy built up in the system. Warning lights flashed across every console. Firing quantum pulse, Taemin announced. A wave of invisible energy spread out from the ship in all directions. When it hit the 3 Devourer ships, they suddenly became completely solid. Their surfaces stopped rippling. Their ability to phase between dimensions was gone. Now, Hyunwoo shouted. Hit them with everything! The new soul's weapons fired continuously. Without their phasing ability, the bioships were vulnerable. The human weapons tore through their living hulls, spilling dark fluid into space. But the celebration was brief. As their power returned, the Devourers began to adapt again. Hyunwoo watched in horror as the damaged areas on their ships began to glow. They were absorbing the energy from the weapons fire and using it to evolve new defenses. They are adapting to our quantum pulse, Taemin warned. The next time we use it, they will be ready. The battle turned desperate. The security teams on Deck 7 were fighting hand-to-hand against creatures that could change shape at will. The bioships in space were pressing their attack and the new soul's shields were failing. Then Yuna's console lit up with an incoming message. This is Admiral Soo-Jin-Oh. We are coming to help. 3 human ships appeared on the edge of sensor range. The battlecruiser Incheon led 2 smaller vessels in a charge toward the battle. Their weapons fired as they approached, adding their firepower to the fight. The Devourer ships found themselves outnumbered, but instead of retreating, they began to call for help. Strange signals went out from their bioships, calls that traveled through quantum space faster than light. More ships are coming, Taemin warned. I count at least 20 Devourer vessels heading this way. Admiral Soo-Jin's voice crackled over the communication system. All ships retreat to coordinates I am sending you. We have prepared a hiding place. The human ships ran from the battle zone just as a massive Devourer fleet arrived. Hyunwoo watched the enemy ships on his screen and felt cold fear in his stomach. There were dozens of them, each one different from the others. Some looked like space whales. Others resembled giant spiders made of living metal. All of them pulsed with alien intelligence. The human fleet found safety in an asteroid field that Admiral Soo-Jin's people had prepared. Hidden among the rocks were shield generators that masked their energy signatures. It was a clever hiding place, but Hyunwoo knew it was only temporary. Report, Admiral Soo-Jin said as her people came aboard the new Soul for a meeting. Hyunwoo shared everything they had learned from Dr. Han's research. The Admiral listened carefully, her experienced face growing more worried with each detail. So we need massive amounts of energy to generate this quantum frequency, she said when he finished. How much energy? Taemin showed her the calculations. More than our entire fleet can produce, even working together. Then we need a bigger power source, Bo-Ram said. She had been thinking about the problem during their escape. What about a star? Everyone looked at her in surprise. Stars produce enormous amounts of energy, she continued. If we could find a way to tap into that power and focus it through our ships, that is insane, Daehyun said. No ship can survive that close to a star. Not close to it, Bo-Ram smiled. Inside it? Admiral Soo-Jin studied the young engineer with new respect. Explain. We modify our ships to survive in a star's outer atmosphere. We use the star's own nuclear fusion as our power source. We turn the entire star into a weapon. Taemin was already working on the math. It could work. The energy output would be millions of times greater than what we can produce with our ships alone. It would also kill us all, Sang-ho pointed out. Maybe, Bo-Ram admitted. But the Devourers will kill us anyway if we do nothing. Hyunwoo looked around at the gathered officers. They were talking about flying into a star to save humanity. It was the most dangerous idea he had ever heard. It was also their only hope. How long would you need to modify the ships? He asked Bo-Ram. 2 weeks. Maybe 3. Do we have that long? Admiral Soo-Jin shook her head. The Devourers are hunting us. They will find this hiding place eventually. Then we better work fast, Hyunwoo said, because we are going to try it. As the meeting broke up, Yuna intercepted another enemy transmission. This one was different from the others. It seemed to be some kind of analysis report. Taemin translated what he could understand. They are studying us, learning about human psychology and tactics. They are preparing for a final attack on all remaining human settlements. How long do we have? Hyunwoo asked. According to this, they plan to attack in 1 month. Every human colony, every hidden base, every ship. All at the same time, the room fell silent. 1 month to save the human race. 1 month to turn their small fleet into a weapon that could destroy an ancient enemy. 1 month to fly into a star and fight for the survival of humanity itself. The countdown had begun. For 3 weeks, the human fleet worked like they had never worked before. Every person had a job. Every hour mattered. Boram led teams of engineers from all the ships in modifying their hulls and shields. They stripped away everything that was not needed. Luxury quarters, recreation areas, even some life support systems were removed to make room for new equipment. "We need to survive temperatures of 15 million degrees," she explained to her teams. "Normal ship hulls will melt in seconds." The solution came from an unexpected source. Taman discovered that the strange gray dust from Earth's surface could be used as insulation. The devourer organisms, when properly treated, became incredibly resistant to heat and radiation. "We are going to armor our ships with the enemy's own biology," he said with grim satisfaction. Meanwhile, Yuna worked on communication systems that could function inside a star's atmosphere. The intense magnetic fields and radiation would destroy normal electronics in minutes. "I am building everything 3 times, she told Hyunwoo. "When the first system fails, the backup takes over. When that fails, the third system activates." Jae-won studied star charts and flight paths. Flying a ship into a star was not like normal space travel. Solar winds, magnetic storms, and gravity fields would all try to tear them apart. "I have found our target," he announced during a planning meeting. "HD 164595. It is a sun-like star about 30 light-years from here. Close enough to reach, stable enough to survive inside." Admiral Soo-jin coordinated the military preparations. Their plan was not just to destroy the Devourer fleet near Jupiter. They wanted to send a message that would reach every Devourer ship in the galaxy. "When we generate the quantum frequency inside that star," she explained, "it will create a pulse that travels through quantum space. Every Devourer ship everywhere will feel it." Daehyun worked on the technical problem of focusing stellar energy. They needed to turn the star's natural fusion process into a directed weapon. It required precise calculations and equipment that had never been built before. "Think of it like a lens," he said to the engineering teams. "We focus the star's energy through our ships and aim it at the quantum frequency Dr. Han discovered." As the work continued, disturbing news came from across the galaxy. Hidden human settlements were being found and destroyed. The Devourers were hunting systematically, using the knowledge they had gained from studying human tactics. They found the colony at Wolf 359, Yuna reported with sadness. 15,000 people. All gone. "The research station at Proxima Centauri is under attack," came another report. "They are requesting immediate assistance." But the human fleet was too small and too far away to help. All they could do was listen to the desperate messages and promise that their sacrifice would not be forgotten. Hyunwoo found these reports the hardest part of their mission. Every day brought news of more deaths, more worlds consumed by the ancient enemy. Sometimes he wondered if they were fools to think their small fleet could make a difference. Then he would remember his daughter's drawings of spaceships. He would think about his wife's smile when he promised to come home safely. He would look at his crew working 18-hour days to save people they would never meet. Humans did not give up. That was what made them different from every other species the Devourers had consumed. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Taman was studying captured Devourer biomatter when he made a discovery that changed everything. "They are not just one species," he announced excitedly. "They are thousands of species, all merged together." His research showed that the Devourers were like a disease that infected entire civilizations. They would consume a species and add its knowledge and abilities to their own collective consciousness. "Look at this," he said, showing genetic analysis to the senior officers. "I can identify DNA from at least 50 different intelligent species in this sample. Some of them are millions of years old." "What does that mean for us?" Sang-ho asked. "It means they have weaknesses from all those species. If we can identify the right frequency, we can disrupt not just their quantum connection, but their entire collective consciousness." Boram understood immediately. "We would not just be hurting their ships. We would be breaking apart their entire civilization." Admiral Soo-jin leaned forward. "Could we destroy them completely?" "Possibly," Taemin said carefully. "But the energy requirements would be enormous. We would need to maintain the frequency for several minutes, not just a few seconds." "How long can our ships survive inside a star?" Hyunwoo asked Boram. "With the new armor and shields, maybe 10 minutes. 15 if we are very lucky. Then we have to make those minutes count. On the final day of preparation, they received a message that made everyone stop working. It came from Earth itself, from the ruins of Dr. Han's laboratory. Yuna's hands shook as she played the recording. Dr. Han's face appeared on the screen, but she looked different. Older, more tired. And behind her were shapes that did not belong in a human research facility. This message is for any humans who might still be alive, Dr. Han said. I'm no longer entirely human myself. The Devourers did not kill me. They changed me, made me part of their collective consciousness. The camera showed her arms, which were now partially covered with the same biomaterial that armored the alien ships. She was becoming one of them. But I can still think human thoughts, she continued. And I have learned something important. The Devourers fear something. There is a frequency that can not only disrupt them, but destroy their connection to the quantum dimension permanently. I'm uploading the calculations now. New data flowed across Taemin's screens. The equations were more complex than anything Dr. Han had discovered before. They showed exactly how to generate a quantum pulse that would trap the Devourers in normal space forever. Once they are trapped, Dr. Han's recording continued, they will age and die like any normal organism. Their collective consciousness will break apart. Their ships will become just metal and flesh. But then her expression changed. The human intelligence in her eyes flickered and something else looked out. They know I am sending this message, she said quickly. They are trying to stop me. Listen carefully. The frequency must be generated from inside a star's fusion core. The energy levels required. The recording cut off suddenly. When it resumed, Dr. Han looked directly at the camera with eyes that were no longer entirely human. Humans will be consumed, she said in a voice that was not quite her own. Resistance is pointless. We have added your knowledge to our own. We know all your tactics. We know all your hiding places. Surrender and your deaths will be quick. The message ended. The bridge was silent for a long moment. Then Admiral Sujin spoke. How long until we reach HD 164595? 6 hours, Jaewon replied. Then we finish this today. The final preparations took on desperate urgency. Everyone knew this was their only chance. If they failed, humanity would be extinct within weeks. Hyunwoo walked through the new Seoul one last time before the mission began. In the engineering section, Boram was making final adjustments to the heat shields. In communications, Yuna was testing the backup systems. Throughout the ship, 200 people were preparing to fly into a star. Many of them would not survive. The heat and radiation would kill anyone whose protective gear failed. Even if everything worked perfectly, they would be pushing their modified ships beyond all safe limits. But they were not doing this for themselves. They were doing it for every human child who deserved to grow up free. For every world that had been destroyed. For every voice that had been silenced by the ancient enemy. As the fleet approached HD 164595, Hyunwoo opened a communication channel to all ships. This is Commander Hyunwoo Park, he said. In a few hours we are going to do something that has never been done before. We are going to fly into a star and turn it into a weapon. Many of us will not survive. But if we succeed, we will save humanity itself. He paused, looking around at his crew. They were scared, but they were ready. The Devourers think we are just another species to be consumed. They think they understand us because they have studied our tactics and absorbed our knowledge. But they do not understand the one thing that makes us human. On the screen, the star grew larger. Its surface churned with nuclear fire that could destroy entire worlds. We do not fight because we think we can win. We fight because it is right. We fight for each other. We fight because some things are worth dying for. The fleet reached the star's outer atmosphere. Warning alarms sounded as temperatures began to rise. Today we show the galaxy what humans really are. Today we make them pay for crossing the line. The ships dove into the star, carrying with them the hopes and dreams of an entire species. The final battle was about to begin. The new soul screamed as it dove into the star. Every alarm on the ship was blaring. The hull temperature rose so fast that the metal began to glow white-hot. Through the reinforced windows, the crew could see nothing but nuclear fire. Hull temperature at 12 million degrees and rising. Boram shouted over the noise. Heat shields holding, but barely. J1 fought to keep the ship stable as solar winds tried to tear them apart. Flying inside a star was like trying to pilot a ship through a hurricane made of fire. Every second brought new dangers. Gravitational stress is increasing. Dae-hyun reported. The star's core is pulling us deeper. That was exactly what they wanted. The plan required them to reach the star's fusion core, where nuclear reactions created the energy that powered the solar system. It was the most dangerous place in existence, but it was also the only location where they could generate enough power to destroy the Devourers. All ships, report status. Hyun-woo called out on the communication system. Incheon here. Admiral Soo-jin's voice crackled through heavy static. We are holding together. Outer hull is melting, but inner hull is intact. Busan reporting, came another voice. Lost our main communication array, but weapon systems are operational. Daegu here. Our heat shields are failing. We might not make it to the core. Hyun-woo felt his heart sink. They needed every ship to make this work. Losing even one vessel could doom the entire mission. Transfer your power core to the Incheon, he ordered the Daegu. Then evacuate your crew to the other ships. Sir, there is no time for evacuation, the Daegu's captain replied. We will stay with our ship and do our duty. Before anyone could argue, the Daegu exploded. The star's heat had finally overwhelmed their damaged shields. 50 brave souls died in an instant, their sacrifice lighting up the nuclear fires around them. They will be remembered, Admiral Soo-jin said quietly. The remaining ships pressed deeper into the star. The pressure was incredible. It felt like the weight of an entire planet pressing down on them from all directions. Several crew members passed out from the stress, but their shipmates kept working. Reaching the fusion core in 30 seconds, Jae-won announced. Taemin was already preparing the quantum frequency generator. Dr. Han's calculations filled his screen as he made final adjustments to the system. Everything had to be perfect. They would only get one chance. Remember, he called out to the other ships, we need to maintain the frequency for exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds. Any less and the Devourers will recover. Any more and our ships will be destroyed. We understand, Admiral Soo-jin replied. All ships prepare to begin frequency generation on my mark. The fleet reached the star's core. Around them, nuclear fusion created temperatures of 100 million degrees. The very atoms of hydrogen were being crushed together to form helium, releasing vast amounts of energy in the process. Now, Admiral Soo-jin commanded. All 5 remaining ships activated their quantum frequency generators simultaneously. The star's fusion core provided unlimited power for their weapons. Energy levels that would have drained their reactors in seconds were now sustained by stellar fire. The quantum frequency spread out from the star in all directions. It traveled through quantum space faster than light, reaching every corner of the galaxy in moments, and wherever it touched Devourer ships, it began to tear apart their connection to the dimension that had made them invincible. Hyun-woo watched his screens as reports came in from across space. Near Jupiter, the massive Devourer fleet suddenly became solid. Their bioships stopped phasing between dimensions. For the first time in millions of years, they were vulnerable. It is working, Yuna shouted with excitement. I am receiving transmissions from human resistance groups everywhere. The Devourer ships are becoming solid, but the ancient enemy was not defenseless. Even trapped in normal space, they were still dangerous. Their bioships began to evolve rapidly, adapting to their new limitations. Some grew thicker armor, others developed new weapons. They are trying to compensate, Taemin warned. We need to maintain the frequency longer than planned. How much longer? Hyun-woo asked. At least 6 more minutes. Boram checked her readings and felt her stomach drop. We cannot survive 6 more minutes in here. The heat shields are already failing. Around them, the star's core pulsed with unimaginable power. The human ships were like tiny insects flying through a furnace. Their armor was melting. Their hulls were buckling under pressure that could crush mountains. We have to try, Hyun-woo said. There is no other choice. The Busan was the next ship to fall. A solar flare erupted directly beneath them, sending a column of plasma through their hull. The ship broke apart like a toy, its crew dying instantly in the nuclear fire. 3 ships remaining, Admiral Soo-jin reported. Her voice was calm, but Hyun-woo could hear the strain. On the Incheon, Admiral Soo-jin watched her bridge crew work with desperate efficiency. Her communications officer was a young woman named Mi-young, whose hands never stopped moving over her controls. Her weapons officer, Jin-ho, kept the frequency generator stable even as systems failed around him. Hull breach on deck 4, someone called out, seal it, Soo-jin ordered. We are not stopping now. The Seoul National University's research had been correct. The quantum frequency was destroying the Devourers' collective consciousness. Across the galaxy, their ancient network was breaking apart. Ships that had worked together for millions of years suddenly found themselves alone and confused. But the cost was enormous. The human ships were dying one by one in the star's embrace. The Guangzhou lost power to their main engines and began falling toward the star's center. Their captain, a brave woman named Haye Jin, made a final decision. "We are redirecting our power core explosion," she transmitted to the other ships. "Use our sacrifice to boost the frequency." The Guangzhou detonated in a ball of nuclear fire that made the star itself flicker. The explosion fed additional energy into the quantum frequency, making it stronger and more deadly to the Devourers. "Two ships left," Yunwu said quietly. The New Soul and the Incheon continued their deadly dance in the star's core. Their hulls were beyond red hot now. The metal was starting to boil away into space. In some sections of both ships, the heat had penetrated the armor and crew members were dying from radiation poisoning. "Frequency has been active for 8 minutes, Taemin reported. "The Devourer network is collapsing. I am reading massive system failures in their fleet." "How much longer?" Hyunwoo asked. 2 more minutes should be enough to ensure permanent damage." Bo-Ram looked at her readings and shook her head. "We do not have 2 minutes. Main power core is overheating. Hull integrity is at 15%. We are going to explode." Hyunwoo made the hardest decision of his life. "Admiral Sujin, take your ship and get out of here. The New Soul will maintain the frequency alone." "Negative," Sujin replied immediately. "We finish this together." "That is an order," Hyunwoo shouted. "Someone needs to survive to tell this story. Someone needs to make sure humanity remembers." For a moment, there was silence on the communication channel. Then Sujin spoke, her voice thick with emotion. "It has been an honor serving with you, Commander Park." The Incheon began its escape from the star. With only one ship maintaining the frequency, the power requirements fell to manageable levels. They would survive to tell the tale of humanity's greatest battle. Alone in the star's core, the New Soul continued its mission. The ship was falling apart around its crew, but they did not stop. Yuna kept the communication systems working so they could monitor Devourer fleet status. Bo-Ram held the engines together with spare parts and determination. Taemin fine-tuned the frequency to cause maximum damage to the enemy network. "Devourer collective consciousness has collapsed," Taemin announced. "They are completely cut off from quantum space. They cannot regenerate. They cannot adapt. They are just ships now." Hyunwoo opened a communication channel that would broadcast to every human ship in the galaxy. His final message would travel on the same quantum frequency that was destroying their ancient enemy. "This is Commander Hyunwoo Park of the New Soul," he said. "If you are receiving this transmission, then we have succeeded. The Devourers are no longer invincible. They are trapped in normal space. They can be destroyed." The ship shuddered as another section of hull gave way. Around him, his crew continued working even as death approached. "We came here to send a message," Hyunwoo continued. "We wanted the galaxy to know that humanity does not surrender. We do not bow to ancient evils. We fight for what is right no matter the cost." Through the flames and radiation, he could see Earth in his mind. His wife's face. His daughter's drawings. The blue sky and green forest that the Devourers had destroyed. "You took our worlds. You killed our families. You thought we were prey, but you forgot something important about humans." His voice grew stronger, carrying across space to reach every surviving member of his species. "We do not forget. We do not forgive. And we never ever give up." The New Soul's power core began its final overload. Nuclear fire brighter than the star itself consumed the ship. But the explosion fed one last burst of energy into the quantum frequency, ensuring that the Devourer's defeat would be permanent and complete. "This is the last transmission from Earth," Hyunwoo said as the fire reached the bridge. "Our message is,